Hello, Solanians. This is Crania, the host of the Amun Inside Crypto podcast. I hope you are having a fantastic week, or at least bearing with the bad news, the good news, and the okay news. So today we are back with our SOLI focused podcast. We're talking about all the constituents of our SOLI index. And as you can see, prices are still pretty much the same since the post-market crash. SOLI sitting at $2.67 at the moment, down 12.79% in the last week. We don't have a huge amount of news going on. I think this sort of generally follows the theme of things you are seeing in fintech and technology in general, where companies are providing assurance to users and they're trying to give them confidence and trying to instill a sense of that you can trust the protocol and trying to keep going business as usual sort of stuff. So we only have four constituents, as you know. Our constituents at the moment are Serum at the top with 38.07% allocation, Marinade stake Solana or mSOL, Raydium and Solend right with 2.35%. Last rebalance date was May 2nd, so we should be coming up on another rebalance in about a week or so. So this is it. And as usual, don't forget, if you want to compare SOLI to the constituents, you can click on these buttons here, comparing to mSOL, Serum, Ray, Solend. So this is the performance, and you can think about your investment thesis through the lens of that. So as usual, let's get started. First, today we're going to be talking about Marinade staked Solana. And one of the first things, right, is brought to us by our friends over at Web3 Wire, where they've covered Amun and a bunch of other Amun projects before. It says Marinade introduces Validator Gauges by Mark Juergens, May 19th, 2022. Gauges allows Marinade users to vote with their Marinade NFTs to influence the delegation of 10% of Marinade's total stake, right? So the whole idea of Solana, and one of the big criticisms of Solana, is that it is very centralized, which in a sense, compared to Ethereum, proof of work networks, of course, Solana is very centralized because proof of work, like Ethereum, scattered over 300,000 validators, while Solana is like 1,700 or so. All right, a true DAO stake pool. The staking protocol Marinade Finance launched Validator Gauges, a complex governance mechanism that enables MNDE stakers to choose which validators get a higher share of Marinade's staked Solana. The team introduced the new gauges on May 18th via Twitter. Usually when users stake SOL on the platform, these tokens are delegated to high-score validators that decentralize the network and have good performance. The new mechanism allows a more democratic approach and rewards validators for other community-focused efforts. This means that users holding MNDE, Marinade's governance token, can select the validators that should receive staked Solana for other reasons than their on-chain score. Web3 Wire caught up with the head of governance at Marinade, Ricardo J. Mendez, to learn more about the intriguing development, right? So this is what Ricardo says. The move provides another route for users to have an impact on the future of the project. Validators have been paying particular attention in learning about the kind of impact that they can have. Okay, this is the original Twitter post. Validators are the backbone of most decentralized finance protocols. Their job is to keep the network secure. For this reason, it is important to avoid concentrating too much power on a few of them and making sure their motives are aligned with the community. This explains what is Marinade Finance. Another sort of plug as well, we had the head of partnerships at Marinade on, and he talks about Marinade and their partnerships and the idea of decentralization. Definitely something you should go and have a listen to if you have a chance. All right, let's go ahead and look at what the gauges are, right? So we can see Solana Beach Validator, the number one, controlling 22.28% of the staked Solana. The Gods Community Validator, it says 33.3%. Maybe there are three different validators, maybe, but this is 16.66%. Meyerbro, 10.91%. Avolto, 10.49%. 9.84%. Cogent Crypto, 0% fees, 6.61%. Solana Compass, 4.36%. Shamchiev, 3.9%. Jur Validator, 3.66%. And the last one is Monkey DAO, 2.99%. So these are definitely significant amounts of Solana, right? 100,000 Solana at current prices would be about $5 million or so of Solana. That's pretty impressive. Okay, let's have a look at the last Marinade piece of news today. So this is just basically some highlights. A lot of protocols do this sort of highlight thread on Twitter. Validator Gauges officially live. We already talked about that. Exodus.io featured app. So we're going to talk about this. A lot of protocols have become integrated with wallets because your users like myself and users like you guys want to do everything inside one app. So if you can buy and sell and get notifications inside an app, that's all the better for it. GM for coffee is back. So I'm not going to read Validator Gauges, right, because we already talked about it. Marinade featured app in Exodus wallet. The popular multi-chain wallet launched a browser extension version that features Marinade as a top 3 web app. So we talked about this as well. This is something we are trying to work on for Amun, is to get more exposure to our products and get more exposure to Amun as a whole, is to get this sort of featured app section in a wallet app. We will let you know, as soon as this launches live. The next thing is GM from Coffee is back. The chefs has brought GM for Coffee back to Discord. One lucky Marinade will win a cup of coffee every day, Monday to Friday, for the foreseeable future. That's pretty cool. A cup of coffee for free. Who doesn't want to take advantage for that? I'm here in Taiwan, right? We don't have Dunkin' Donuts like when I used to live in Massachusetts, but I find a lot of Taiwanese people go to 7-Eleven here to get that morning cup of joe or morning cup of coffee. So that's cool. All right, next thing we are going to talk about is Raydium. So we have 2 pieces of news for Raydium. Again, this is another wallet news, but I think this is really interesting. It says, from Solflare wallet, subscribe to Raydium protocol notifications via Solflare to receive important updates about accelerators, right? That is Raydium's launch pad, fusion pools, and more. So again, this is just the idea that I just talked about a few seconds ago, is that you want to do everything in one wallet, right? So if you're always on Solana and you're checking different things, and who has time when you're older to keep in touch with all the stuff that is going on with crypto? So you just do it all through Solflare wallet, and they're going to keep you up to date when new projects are launching an accelerator, fusion pools, and other such things. Very cool for Raydium, right? Very advantageous as well for people who are using Solflare. The other thing I wanted to mention as well is Raydium retweeted about Ratio Finance. This is a newly launched project that uses Raydium's backend. So maybe this is what this is, but Ratio Finance is the idea of vaults. You put your money in, you get APY via the strategies over here. You can read what the strategies are here. The guide is over here. It's collateralization and loans and a bunch of other more complicated stuff. Definitely something for people who are interested into Solana DeFi, and I give it a go, right? So this is strange, or this is for my overview, but I wanted to see the total. So this is total USDR debt, about 500,000, total TVL cap 557,000. So you lend, this is the sort of most stable, right? USDT, right? Tether and USDC, UXD. We had the founder of UXD on the podcast as well. You should definitely go listen to that episode. And UXDC, right? 2.26%. So if you're providing to this pool, you're getting 2.26% APY. That's good. USDH, which I believe is Ratio's coin, and USDC. So that gives you the best sort of interest rate at 14.27%. And there you have the risk ratings. Of course, USDT, USDC, the safest because these are the most well-known stable coins. UXD, of course, also they've solved the stablecoin trilemma. Again, this is something you have to go back and listen to the podcast to. And USDH, right, a WB, which is still also relatively safe. If you're not sure about risk ratings, just go to Google, have a look at it. It's fairly self-explanatory and not too difficult at all.
In order to recognize how a particular rating relates to the creditworthiness of a bond issuer, it is important to understand the standardized scales used by each agency. Across all 3 agencies, a AAA is the highest rating a bond can receive. As you can see, S&P uses a series of capital letters in its ratings, with a plus indicating higher quality for a particular category and a minus indicating lower quality. Moody's uses a combination of upper and lowercase letters, which are numbered 1 through 3 to denote quality. Finally, the system used by Fitch is very similar to the one used by Standard & Poor's. As mentioned before, certain bonds are designated as investment-grade bonds. These are bonds that are rated BBB or Baa and higher. These higher-rated bonds are sometimes called bank grade, as they are approved by the FDIC for purchase by banks. They are also typically favored by more conservative investors who may be wary of the risk associated with lower-rated bonds. To learn more about this and other investment topics, subscribe to the Zions Direct YouTube channel.
Okay, Let's go into the next piece of news. I love Serum because I think they're the only ones who do this. I shouldn't say the only ones, they're the only ones who do this in a lot of detail. So it's time for this week's recap of the project Serum ecosystem. And let's have a look at the first one. A partnership has recently been announced by Atrix Protocol with Ratio Finance to grow USDR liquidity on Serum. So this is like Raydium and Serum always working together. We're excited to be partnering with Ratio Finance to go USDR liquidity on Project Serum starting on May 16th. Cool. The team at Frankium DeFi has recently released their bi-weekly recap. Be sure to check out all of their recent developments. So Frankium's TVL 163 million new features support profit and loss asset switching. Users are able to change the profit and loss asset under equity value. New RPC nodes, Syndica. So RPC nodes are the things that sort of underlie the Solana network, and you need good RPC nodes for stability of your project, right? Track your market neutral positions. Ray Eth, wormhole wrapped. Ooh, that's cool. Ethereum on Solana. Farming pool is live. That's very nice. And what is that? GMT USDC, right? That is the Stepn protocol. We're going to talk about that just now. 915% interest. That is incredible. Sol USDC. That's pretty stable, right? 209% APY. That's nice. Okay. I saw something today about people who are saying that Solana does not have the best DeFi options. And of course, compared to Ethereum, it's not going to have the best DeFi options, but some of these are still pretty good. And when you go to Raydium and Serum and other places, you're still going to find a lot of options, maybe not as centralized like Uniswap or SushiSwap or Curve or places like that, where you can find a lot of cool DeFi options all in the same place. But Solana still has a lot going on, I think. All right, next it says, were you lucky enough to get into MarginFi's Fideikin initiative? NFTs have been distributed, so a lot of these financial protocols are launching with NFTs, and these are cool, right? It reminds me of chalkboard art, or I forget what the kind of art is called, so that's nice. A big update has recently been announced for the Zeta Markets platform with the addition of strategy accounts. Check out all the details below. Saturdays are for shipping, right? Shipping new products. So these are the strategy accounts. These look pretty interesting. The team at PsyOptions. Oh, I just recently talked about this. And this is something, if you've just been into crypto, you might not be aware of this. But if you've been into crypto more than a year, right, you're familiar with the idea of airdrops, where new projects or existing projects sort of airdrop tokens to people. Now, the problem with the airdrops is that when you give people free money, they tend to say, okay, free money, and they're going to sell it. And that reduces the price of your coin. And particularly it affects long-term holders who are like, okay, I'm holding X token, and then all these people are selling it. So it's reducing the value of the tokens I'm holding, and I'm a loyal customer. Why am I being punished, right? This is a problem. And this is what PsyOptions hopes to fix with their sort of system. And it's the idea of options, just like the idea of options if you're working for a company, or stock options or call options. So basically their system is to incentivize people to hold their airdrops for a longer period, because that will bring them more value. And I think it's a fantastic idea. That is an area of crypto, like airdrops is still very popular despite the sort of downturn in the market, but it's still an area of crypto that innovation could be used to create new things. Okay. The latest bridge split flow index is now live on JungleCats.io. The liquidity doesn't stop. The latest flow index is live with JungleCats.io. Buy liquid composable tokens that track the flow price of JungleCats.io lions and lionesses. Add tokens to the LP to earn yield on your NFTs. Well, yield on NFTs. I like it. Okay, so there are quite a lot more updates, but I don't want to spend too much time on this. I want to keep this a bit short. Last time's episode was a bit longer. Okay, let's keep going. So Serum had a AMA with Burn Finance, and these are some of the things that they talk about. This is the transcript of this, right? So it says, it's been a fun journey partnering with you guys for this joint NFT project drop. It's since evolved into a much more vibrant and exciting project that involves creating this NFT ecosystem around Serum. Like we had these Serum servers, we talked about those before. Exactly. So getting into details of how the NFT project would work, I think the first drop would be the Serum servers. Originally, we started off with divers, but we're really excited about the server concept now. Serum servers are already sold out. You can go check them out on Magic Eden. And as usual, all the links for anything we talk about on the Last Week in SOLI podcast will be in the show notes on your podcast app, on the YouTube channel. So please have a look. Okay, moving on to the last piece of news for today. Our last piece of news for today is of course, about Solend. Solend, now if you guys have heard about Stepn, right? So Stepn is the idea of play to move, right? So you've heard about play to earn with Axie Infinity and a bunch of other projects on Solana, on Polygon as well. Like you guys hear me talk about Sunflower Land and Polygon all the time because I love their game, I love their app, I love where they're going with it. And Stepn is the idea of play to earn. I just looked into this today because it's popping up all over social media. You have to buy an NFT sneaker, right? And with that NFT sneaker, you have to go out and exercise. And as you exercise, you get paid money. But I have to say, looking at Magic Eden today, like an hour ago or 2 hours ago, the baseline price of a Stepn sneaker is a 13.1 Solana, which at current prices would be about $750, something along those lines. So you're going to pay $750 for an NFT. And you guys know I love NFTs. I have NFTs, but and then you have to go run. Like I'm not a big fan of running. I much prefer to ride my bike. So that is something for you guys to definitely take into account. But that being said, we just saw right on the Serum website, like they have 951% for GMT, right, which is Stepn's token. And you can also do it on Solend. So they have an option on Solend where you can use Solend and get 70% interest on GMT tokens, which is fantastic interest. So Stepn is a project. If you guys are interested, please let me know. I can do a more deep dive on it. Well, just sort of tell you guys how to get used to it. But basically the steps behind Stepn are: you got to register for an account, you got to buy a sneaker, you got to go out and do exercise. It also depends on your GPS clarity. So if your GPS is good, you're earning money regularly. If it's not good, I'm probably not going to earn money regularly. So if you're in a city, I think you're fairly safe. Like I live in a big city, and basically there's like on my regular cycling route, I would lose one place where I go through a tunnel. So this thing also factors in speed. So you have to be moving a certain speed in order to earn rewards as well. That's something to take into account. Okay, and the last thing as well is Solend launched a shadow pool, right? This project, I have not heard about them. So this is redefining investment opportunities on chain. Shadow is a hub for issuing, trading, and lending and borrowing derivative assets. So you guys know on our Pika protocol, we talked about gains, and gains does derivatives as well. The 1.2 quadrillion, right? That is a huge number, derivatives market, bringing financial derivatives to the ever-growing DeFi space. DAOs, the Wall Street token, is the value connected pipeline for real-world assets to be mapped onto the chain. Interoperable, unlocking scalability and interoperability by investing in Binance Smart Chain and Polkadot's blockchain. Wow. Two interesting projects, given BSC is not the most popular when it comes to a lot of crypto people because they don't have a large number of validated nodes. They are not terribly fast. And Polkadot also hasn't quite gotten started. They've made progress, but they're not quite there. A suite of financial derivative products, fiat currencies, cryptocurrencies, stocks, market indices, commodities, and others, issuance and trading rewards. Nice. Investments for every trader, right? Asset classes, nice. All right. Collateralized Rent BTC on Shadow bolsters Rent's mission of cross-chain interoperability by providing greater utility for digital assets regardless of blockchain. Michael Burgess, CEO, Rent Protocol. Nice. Decentralized derivatives trading platform, and this looks pretty interesting, pretty complex. Definitely not something for people like me, but if you are smart enough to trade derivatives, why not? You should definitely give that a go. Okay, and let's see what else. These are the investors in Shadows Protocol. Partners, Poly Network, Linear, Bridge, okay. And this is who Shadows Protocol is. Very interesting. Okay, guys, let's go back to the Moon page. Yep, not a lot of news going on. And as I said before, that is to be expected because people are not like deploying new things, especially with the market the way it is. And a lot of people expecting a further downturn. I was watching the news today, and a hedge fund manager, he was on CNBC saying, I think, and his company has $330 billion, AUM, assets under management. And he was like, he expects Bitcoin to go down to 8,000. And he thinks only Bitcoin and Ethereum are the only two valid sort of cryptocurrencies. The rest are all trash. His words, not mine. And that is watching the news and watching YouTubers and Twitter and podcasts and like print media and online media, you just get the general impression that people are expecting crypto and markets in general to continue to go on a downturn until they finally bottom out at a big difference to where we were 2 months ago. So that's definitely something to take into account. And remember, not financial advice. So please be careful, whatever you're doing, only invest what you can afford to lose. Nothing like we do on this podcast or the YouTube channel or any videos we do, right, is financial advice. Look after yourself, guys. And with that said, right, this episode might be up today. I do have something else to do today. Otherwise, it'll be up Wednesday as usual. We are interviewing Riggs Eckleberry. He's using the idea of decentralization with clean water out in Florida in the States. He was also, got into crypto as well. We're going to talk about that. So we'll be interviewing him Thursday. His episode will be out Friday. We have another 2 to 3 interviews scheduled for the next coming weeks. Keep an eye out for that. I have another guy, Chandler Walker, another guy who got into crypto early, made a fair bit of money. We're going to hear his story next week. His story will be up towards the end of next week as well. Don't forget as well, I do regular talks on an app called Wisdom, where I talk about crypto news and I take questions as well. Sort of like the idea of a live radio show via my iPad, via my cell phone. All right, guys, that is it for me. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. It's fantastic, as always, to do this stuff for you guys. And I will talk to you later.